For years, Florida's rental market seemed unstoppable. From Miami's glittering towers to Orlando's booming suburbs, landlords ruled the Sunshine State. They raised rents by hundreds overnight, confident that newcomers from New York, Chicago, and California would pay any price for palm trees and sunshine. But in 2025, that confidence is collapsing. Across Florida, vacancies are rising, incentives are back, and investors are panicking. Developers built too much, borrowed too aggressively, and ignored the warning signs. Now the same cities that once symbolized endless growth are confronting an uncomfortable truth. Demand has hit its limit. Rents are falling fast, in some metros by double digits. First-month free banners stretch across new buildings. Property managers are offering gift cards, free parking, even cruise tickets just to fill units. This is Discover the Nation, and today we count down the top 10 Florida cities where rent is collapsing and landlords are panicking in 2025. Stay with us until number 1, because what's unfolding in Florida could rewrite the future of America's rental economy.
Number 10. Orlando. Orlando's rise was spectacular, and so is its fall. Between 2020 and 2023, this city became the heartbeat of Florida's housing boom. Apartments sold out before construction even finished. Developers built new tech-driven communities, certain the tourism capital of the world could never slow down. With Disney, Universal, and remote workers flooding in, rents soared more than 40% in just 3 years. But in 2025, the dream is cracking. Average rent across Metro Orlando has dropped over 12%, and in Lake Nona, Baldwin Park, and downtown, vacancies have doubled. Sleek new towers now stand half-lit at night, a sharp contrast to the golden days of wait lists and bidding wars. Now leasing banners stretch across empty lobbies, with landlords offering free rent, waived deposits, and complimentary Wi-Fi to survive. Insurance premiums have skyrocketed, property taxes are climbing faster than wages, and the balance between tourism and tech has started to falter. Even with record theme park attendance, many workers can no longer afford the lifestyle they came for. Middle-income renters are finding roommates or fleeing to cheaper cities like Lakeland and Ocala. Developers who borrowed heavily are facing their reckoning: oversupply, rising costs, and fading demand. For years, Orlando symbolized Florida's promise: sunshine, opportunity, and unstoppable growth. But in 2025, that glow is dimming fast. Behind the palm-lined streets and smiling billboards lies a harsher truth. When optimism outpaces reality, even the happiest place on earth can lose its magic.
Number 9. Fort Lauderdale. Once the jewel of Broward County, Fort Lauderdale represented the good life: yachts in the marina, endless sunshine, and high-rise rentals overlooking turquoise water. During the pandemic boom, the city became a magnet for wealthy remote workers and real estate investors. Condos were snapped up and converted into Airbnbs overnight. Developers promised endless appreciation, and landlords believed it, but by 2025, that dream has sunk beneath the waves. Median rents have fallen nearly 10% this year, marking Fort Lauderdale's steepest decline in over a decade. Those luxury waterfront units that once commanded $4,000 a month now sit vacant for weeks. In buildings along Los Olas Boulevard, property managers are slashing prices and advertising free parking, waived deposits, and move-in bonuses, tactics unseen here since the 2008 crash. What happened? The costs caught up. Flood insurance has tripled for coastal properties. Condo association fees have surged, and new hurricane assessments following recent storms have gutted profitability. Landlords who bought during the frenzy at record prices now find themselves trapped, unable to refinance and watching their returns vanish. From Dania Beach to Plantation, vacancy rates have climbed to record highs. Investors who relied on short-term rentals are abandoning the market entirely, burned by oversupply and stricter local regulations. Even longtime owners, once confident in Fort Lauderdale's luxury appeal, are quietly exiting. The same canals that once reflected shimmering prosperity now mirror rows of empty balconies. Boats remain docked, restaurants are seeing fewer crowds, and the once booming skyline feels eerily calm. Fort Lauderdale's fall isn't just about numbers, it's a warning. When luxury overextends itself, when insurance risk meets overconfidence, paradise turns fragile. The yachts may still line the harbor, but beneath the reflection, the market is drowning in its own excess.
Number 8. Tampa. For a brief moment, Tampa looked unstoppable. Between 2020 and 2022, it became one of America's fastest-growing metros, a magnet for Wall Street relocations, tech startups, and families fleeing expensive coastal states. Developers called it the next Miami, and billions flowed into the skyline. Sleek towers rose along the Hillsborough River, and investors poured in with blind faith that demand would never fade. But in 2025, the facade is cracking. Average rents across Tampa have fallen nearly 9% year over year, and in certain luxury projects, drops are even steeper. Tens of thousands of new apartments delivered over the past 2 years have flooded the market, and demand simply can't keep up. Units that used to lease in days now sit empty for months. Developers are offering unheard-of deals: 2 months free rent, free parking, gym memberships, even rent credits. Property managers who once fielded multiple offers for each listing are begging tenants to renew. Insurance costs have doubled since 2022, driven by Florida's worsening storm risk, while maintenance expenses have surged. From Channel District to Hyde Park, you can feel the slowdown. Restaurants that once thrived on steady tenant traffic are seeing lighter crowds. Downtown construction projects are quietly paused midway as financing tightens. The investors who called Tampa recession-proof are finally admitting they miscalculated. The city still looks stunning from afar, the skyline gleams in the evening light, and the bay sparkles as always, but behind that postcard image lies a market in trouble. The very momentum that made Tampa a boomtown is now its greatest liability. In 2025, Tampa isn't collapsing overnight, it's deflating slowly, painfully. The cranes are still up, but the confidence is gone. And for landlords who borrowed big, expecting endless growth, the hangover has just begun.
Number 7. Jacksonville. Jacksonville was supposed to be Florida's safe bet, the city that grew without the chaos. For years, it marketed itself as the affordable alternative to Miami or Tampa, a place where working families could actually get ahead. Developers believed it, investors doubled down, and cranes filled the skyline from Riverside to South Bank. But by 2025, that optimism has turned into oversupply. Average rents are down 11% year over year, and vacancy rates have hit their highest point in a decade. Thousands of new units opened at once, just as mortgage rates climbed and migration slowed. The result? Entire blocks of brand new apartments sitting half empty, their leasing offices quiet, their amenities gathering dust. Small landlords who borrowed heavily to build or expand are now slashing rents just to keep the lights on. Corporate property owners are throwing out incentives that sound more like fire sales: 2 months free, waived application fees, 0 deposits, and even prepaid gift cards. Once upon a time, those words were unthinkable in Florida's fastest-growing city. Even Jacksonville Beach, once considered bulletproof, is showing cracks. Waterfront condos that commanded top dollar during the pandemic now sit idle. The promise of endless inbound migration has fizzled. With remote work fading and the cost of living rising everywhere, renters are hesitating, and developers are paying the price. The deeper issue runs beneath the numbers. Jacksonville's boom was built on cheap credit and big dreams, but when cheap money disappears, dreams hit reality fast. Insurance premiums are climbing, property taxes are up, and wages haven't kept pace. For years, Jacksonville was the picture of sustainable growth. Today, it's a warning sign for the rest of the Sun Belt. When supply overwhelms demand and confidence breaks, even the most affordable market can become the next cautionary tale.
Number 6. Sarasota. Sarasota was once Florida's coastal masterpiece, a city that balanced art, wealth, and tranquility. For decades, it attracted retirees, professionals, and culture seekers who wanted sunshine without the chaos of Miami. But between 2020 and 2023, that balance was shattered. Developers, hungry for profit, flooded the market with high-end condos and luxury apartments, adding more units in 3 years than the city could support in 10. What followed was inevitable. By 2025, the boom has turned into a free fall. Rents have dropped 13%, one of the sharpest declines in Florida, and vacancies have surged past 12%. Entire luxury projects in downtown Sarasota, Siesta Key, and Lakewood Ranch stand eerily quiet. Leasing banners flap in the sea breeze as property managers offer free months, free parking, and anything else to lure tenants. But this isn't just about oversupply, it's about cost. Hurricane insurance has doubled or even tripled in some areas. Property taxes are climbing. For small landlords, the math no longer works. Many are selling at a loss, unable to keep up with rising expenses. Even Sarasota's once reliable lifeline, wealthy snowbirds, is weakening. With climate risk, surging premiums, and inflation eroding retirement income, many seasonal residents are renting for shorter periods or leaving altogether. The city's beauty hasn't changed. The beaches still glisten and the sunsets still paint the Gulf in gold, but beneath that postcard surface lies a market out of balance. Sarasota's identity as a haven of elegance has collided headfirst with financial reality. In 2025, Sarasota is a reminder that even paradise has limits. You can build luxury, but you can't build infinite demand.
Number 5. Cape Coral. Cape Coral's skyline tells the story without words. From the bridges that cross its canals, you can see now leasing banners draped across new apartment complexes that were once sold out before completion. After Hurricane Ian devastated the region, billions in rebuilding funds and investor dollars poured in. Construction exploded, optimism soared, and developers promised a rebirth stronger than ever. But by 2025, that optimism has hit the wall. Average rents in Cape Coral have fallen nearly 15%, the steepest drop in the entire Gulf Coast region. Thousands of newly built apartments and condos now sit half empty. Landlords are offering free utilities, no deposits, and even boat slip discounts just to get tenants in the door. The problem isn't just demand, it's cost. Insurance premiums have skyrocketed, in some cases tripling within 2 years. Flood zone reclassifications after recent storms have made older buildings uninsurable, while new ones come with premiums so high that profits vanish. Buyers have grown wary of the risks. Out-of-state investors who once flocked to Cape Coral are now backing away, wary of hurricanes, high taxes, and rising costs. For many small landlords, 2025 isn't just a correction, it's survival. The irony is that Cape Coral was built on resilience. It rose from storms before. But this time, the storm is economic, not physical. The cranes are still standing, but the renters are not coming. At sunset, the city still glows with the same tropical warmth, but look closer and you'll see the signs. Empty parking lots, quiet pools, and dark balconies. The boomtown optimism that rebuilt Cape Coral has been replaced by silence, and that silence speaks louder than any statistic ever could. Number 4. Naples. Naples was never supposed to stumble. It was the crown jewel of Southwest Florida, a place where wealth met serenity, where luxury condos and golf course estates symbolized permanence. For decades, Naples stood above the noise of market cycles. No matter the economy, demand always returned. But in 2025, even Naples is showing cracks. Luxury rents have fallen 9%, and properties along Fifth Avenue, Park Shore, and Pelican Bay are sitting on the market longer than ever. For the first time in memory, landlords are offering move-in bonuses, reduced deposits, and free months just to attract tenants.
Behind the glamour, costs are soaring. Insurance premiums have doubled. Taxes are climbing, and property management expenses are at record highs. For many owners, the balance sheet no longer adds up. Investors who once waited for bidding wars are now accepting offers below asking price. The city's signature demographic, retirees and second homeowners, is changing too. Many are downsizing or leaving Florida entirely, trading high costs for stability elsewhere. Climate concerns, condo assessments, and insurance uncertainty are driving quiet exits. Even Naples' construction boom has slowed. Projects planned during the pandemic frenzy are being postponed or canceled. Developers are cautious, knowing that the pool of wealthy renters isn't as deep as it once seemed. Naples still looks immaculate from the outside. The beaches pristine, the streets lined with palms and Bentleys. But behind the gates, the market is in retreat. The same exclusivity that once defined Naples has become its weakness. In 2025, the city that once symbolized unshakable prosperity is learning a painful truth. No place, not even Naples, can outrun economic gravity.
Number 3. Tallahassee. In Florida's capital city, the collapse is quieter but no less devastating. For years, Tallahassee was considered immune to the boom and bust cycle that gripped the rest of the state. Its economy revolved around stability, government offices, major universities, and a dependable student housing market. But between 2020 and 2022, that stability turned into overconfidence. Developers flooded the market with new apartments, betting big on endless enrollment growth and remote workers seeking low-cost living. By 2025, that gamble has failed. Average rents are down 8% statewide, but in student-heavy areas near Florida State University and Florida A&M, the declines are even steeper. Apartment complexes once packed every semester now stand half empty. Leasing agents are offering unprecedented discounts, waived deposits, gift cards, even rent-free until graduation promotions just to fill rooms. The reason is simple: demand dried up. Enrollment has plateaued, remote work has faded, and government offices remain partially virtual. The steady flow of renters Tallahassee once depended on has slowed to a trickle. At the same time, the city added thousands of new units, more than the population could sustain. Now landlords are stuck with a surplus. Smaller owners are struggling to pay their loans, while big developers slash prices to compete. Student housing firms that once bragged about 98% occupancy are quietly reporting vacancies approaching 25%. Tallahassee's strength was always predictability, but in 2025, even that foundation is cracking. Local construction paused mid-project, and long-term investors are pulling back. The quiet capital of Florida is learning what Miami and Orlando already know: no market is untouchable. For tenants, it's a blessing. Affordable rents are back. But for landlords, it's a slow-motion collapse, proof that even the steadiest cities can fall when growth turns to glut.
Number 2. Miami. If one city defined Florida's rental frenzy, it was Miami. Between 2020 and 2023, this glittering coastal paradise became the epicenter of America's migration mania. Wealth from New York, Silicon Valley, and even overseas poured into Brickell, Wynwood, and South Beach. Rent surged more than 60% in just 3 years. Condo towers sold out before they were built. Airbnb investors transformed entire neighborhoods. For a while, it looked unstoppable. But in 2025, that illusion has shattered. Average rents in Miami have dropped 11% year over year, and vacancy rates have reached their highest level in a decade. Luxury towers that once required 6-month waiting lists now offer free parking, no deposits, and months of rent-free living. Even oceanfront buildings along Biscayne Bay, the city's crown jewels, are flashing discounts like clearance sales. Behind the glitter, a financial storm is brewing. Insurance premiums have tripled across South Florida, wiping out profits for landlords who once lived off passive income. Condo associations are drowning in special assessments tied to new post-collapse safety regulations. Older high-rises are facing repair bills in the millions, forcing owners to sell or default. And then there's the investor retreat. International buyers, the backbone of Miami's luxury demand, are pulling back, frightened by rising taxes, currency instability, and Florida's worsening flood risk. Airbnb profits, once astronomical, have fallen off a cliff as tourism cools and regulation tightens. The skyline still sparkles at night, but behind those lights are thousands of empty units. The same condos that once symbolized global wealth now stand as monuments to overreach. Miami has always reinvented itself, but 2025 is different. This isn't a pause, it's a reckoning. The market built on hype, influencers, and investor optimism is facing something it never prepared for: financial gravity. The paradise still photographs beautifully, but beneath the turquoise surface, Miami's housing market is drowning.
Number 1. St. Petersburg. At number 1 is St. Petersburg, the Gulf Coast city that once felt invincible and now stands at the edge of its own creation. Between 2020 and 2023, St. Pete became the crown jewel of Florida's urban renaissance. Young professionals, retirees, and digital nomads poured in from every corner of the country, chasing the dream of waterfront living and vibrant downtown life. Developers responded with unshakable optimism. More than 15,000 new units broke ground in just 3 years, turning the once sleepy skyline into a glittering forest of cranes and glass towers. For a while, it seemed unstoppable. But by 2025, the tide has turned. Rents have dropped nearly 13%, vacancies are climbing by the month, and incentives have returned with a vengeance. High-rises along Central Avenue that once leased in days now offer 2 or even 3 months free, waived amenity fees and gift cards just to attract tenants. Luxury condos near the pier, once selling for record prices, now linger unsold. Their ocean views no longer enough to justify the cost. Insurance premiums have tripled since the last hurricane season, and property taxes are up nearly 10% statewide. Small landlords who stretched their savings to buy investment properties are bleeding cash. Larger developers, once confident in endless growth, are quietly shelving projects or selling pre-construction rights to avoid deeper losses. Tourism remains strong, but it cannot sustain the avalanche of supply aimed at high-income renters. Too many buildings, not enough qualified tenants, and as interest rates stay high, the imbalance keeps widening. In 2025, St. Petersburg's story is not one of sudden collapse, but of a slow, quiet unraveling. One vacant apartment, one canceled lease, one stalled project at a time. The city that once symbolized prosperity now serves as Florida's clearest warning that even paradise can overbuild itself into a corner. Across Florida, a quiet reckoning is unfolding. From Miami's glittering skyline to Fort Myers' quiet suburbs, the Sunshine State, once the hottest rental market in America, is facing a correction few thought possible. For nearly a decade, Florida was the ultimate migration magnet. People arrived from every corner of the country, chasing sunshine, freedom, and opportunity. Developers raced to build, investors raced to buy, and landlords raised rents faster than wages could follow. But 2025 has broken the spell. Oversupply is meeting stagnation. Insurance costs are crippling landlords, taxes are climbing, and migration, once endless, is slowing. What began as a gentle cooling has now become a sharp downturn. For tenants, it's long-awaited relief. The age of bidding wars, outrageous deposits, and instant evictions is fading. Renters once priced out of cities like Orlando and Tampa are finally breathing again. For landlords, it's panic. Loans are coming due, profits are gone, and vacancies are piling up. The same market that made them rich is now testing their limits. And for the rest of the country, Florida's collapse is more than a local story. It's a mirror of what's to come. Other states are already seeing the same trends: overbuilding, inflated expectations, and renters who have simply reached their financial ceiling. The Sunshine State is still beautiful, still resilient, but it's learning that no boom lasts forever.
You've been watching Discover the Nation, your home for cinematic deep dives into America's biggest transformations. If this breakdown opened your eyes, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and stay with us, because what's happening in Florida today could redefine housing across America tomorrow.